Varley Kamara. I'm sitting in for Jada Griffith this afternoon. So, a couple of things to talk about this afternoon. I will be playing host to the president of the Liberia Business Association, Mr. James Strutter, and 5 o'clock at 5 to 6. I'll be hosting folks who are cleaning up the city, Monrovia, across the country ahead of the January 22, 2024 inauguration of the president-elect and vice president-elect, Ambassador Joseph Boakai and Jeremiah Bankun. They called in the JMB volunteers. They are cleaning up the city, so they will be here to talk about the progress they're making so far in the cleanup exercise. So a couple of things to talk about. I will also place a call to the one of the candidates in the President of Liberia elections, Mr. Julius Kanumba. You may be aware that the Supreme Court of Liberia has handed down a ruling, calling on both parties to revert to Banga, the 9th Judicial Circuit Court in Bon County. So that means the election that was held in Banga, the PUL election, is in essence notified, and that we should go back to Banga. So he will be giving his reaction, to that Supreme Court's ruling on the program this afternoon. So we're taking this musical break to be back on the Bombo Show this afternoon. Welcome back to the Bumper Show on ELBC Radio with me, Varley Kamara. Well, if you follow the news, this morning, the Information Minister, Lejehu Reni, gave an interview to the VOA, the Voice of America, on December 12th. Liberia voted in a United Nations Security Council resolution. The war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, following the October 7, incident where the Hamas, took some Israeli hostages and also killed a number of them. That sparked the war, the full-scale war by Israel on Hamas in Gaza, the Gaza Strip. And so, the vote was taken on December 12th, that there should be a ceasefire in the Hamas, in the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. And so Liberia voted against a ceasefire. The Liberia United Nations mission voted against a ceasefire in that resolution. And so that sparked, some concern, especially it was made public when His Excellency President George Weah spoke against the decision of voting against a ceasefire, premising his concern on the fact that he's a champion of peace, of world peace. He's always preached, peace in the world. So it is against the foreign policy of the country to vote against a ceasefire in a war. So he was concerned. He took exception to that vote and also launched an investigation into what happened that led to the vote, the way we voted. So the Information Minister, announced officially the president's position and the decision by the government to rescind that vote, that is to withdraw or cancel that vote. Well, we're still trying to establish whether that has happened in the history of the United Nations Security Council, where a country can vote and then you cancel or rescind it. And so he gave this interview to the VOA, which I want us to take a listen, officially announcing Liberia's position to rescind the vote against ceasefire. Instead, the country stands with the decision for a ceasefire in that war. So let's listen to this interview that Minister Rennie gave the VOA James Botte, and be back on the show this afternoon.
Liberia is canceling its vote, its initial vote of December 12th, simply because the chief architect of Liberia's foreign policy, the president of the republic, Dr. George Manawea, has been championing peace across the globe, whether in our sub-region or the continental level, or whether at the international level. And so when the vote showed that Liberia had voted against the ceasefire, he was surprised that it didn't take into consideration the foreign policy objectives of our country, which is to ensure peace in the world.
Is this normal for your diplomats to cast votes at the UN without first consulting with their home government?
Usually, the procedure is that they do consult at their level, especially when the vote is not of much significance. But such a vote that talks about ceasefire in Gaza and giving all of the international ramifications, it was expected that they should have done some consultations at the level of the architecture of the foreign policy decision-making body of our country, which they didn't do, and hence they voted the way they did at the first time. So the president thought it was important for Liberia to correct that vote, giving our foreign policy objectives.
Some people might be kind of wondering, like me, suspicious, because this reversal is coming at a time when some officials of the outgoing government, including the finance minister, have been sanctioned by the U.S. Is there a conflict between the U.S. and Liberia at this moment?
No, it has nothing to do with the sanctions of the officials from the administration. Rather, it's an issue between Liberia and the United States. This borders on our strategic foreign policy objective, which is to ensure world peace and harmony. And President Wee has been, a big champion of world peace and harmony, talking about it wherever he had the opportunity, whether at the regional level, whether at the continental level, or whether at the United Nations General Assembly, where he recently again pledged Liberia's support to world peace.
Okay, so that was the Information Minister Lejehu Rennie there in that interview with the VOA James Botte, officially announcing Liberia's decision, the government's decision to rescind the initial vote given in that United Nations Security Council resolution on the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. Now, as that interview happened this afternoon, the permanent mission of Liberia to the United Nations, the ambassador of the permanent mission to the United Nations, Ambassador Sarah Fania, issued a statement. And the statement reads, Liberia's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations, Sarah Fania, says that Liberia's diplomats at the UN operated under the guidance and instructions of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, ensuring that their actions align with the country's stance. According to her, decisions are not made independently. Instead, guidance is sought to accurately represent Liberia's position. Ambassador Fania clarifies that the government of Liberia's initial vote on the UN resolution AES 10L 27 on December 12 was based on a prior directive from the ministry, which unfortunately, according to her, contradicted President George Weah's and the government's established stance. So it clearly shows there is a serious disconnect and miscommunication in this whole voting process. And I think the government, as I understand it, has, why it is seeking a withdrawal and cancellation of the vote, is also launching an investigation into what happened, because it seems as if the chief architect of the country's foreign policy instructed that we vote for a ceasefire, and then the diplomats at the United Nations voted, against a ceasefire in the interest of the U.S., as we understand it, because the U.S. also vetoed that particular resolution. But the thing that is very bizarre is even the UK, the U.S. very closest ally, also abstained. So, and the middleman in this particular miscommunication is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So as the investigation goes on, because this is very unheard of, for a country to vote and then come back and say we rescind our decision. So the investigation is ongoing, but there is effort to withdraw the vote, because President Weah stands for peace. He supports peace. He's a champion of world peace everywhere he spoke. He's always, according to him, he even wrote a personal letter to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. So it will be against the peaceful nature of His Excellency to vote against a ceasefire. So that's one of the trending news in town. But we also, like I said, we'll be speaking with Mr. Julius Kanumba. Mr. Kanumba is a presidential candidate in the President of Liberia elections. The issue about PEL has been long running, especially at the Supreme Court, where his camp, took the case at the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court has now ordered that both parties go back to Banga, so that the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court can relook into what is happening. So we will be finding out from him to hear his initial reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling. What is his interpretation of that, and what does that mean for his camp, the Julius Kanumba camp? So let's see if we can speak with him. Mr. Kanumba, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. My pleasure to be on your platform at this particular time.
Great, it's good to speak to you at this time. I just want to find out your initial reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling that you very familiar with, because it affects your camp in particular.
Well, first, we welcome the verdict by the Supreme Court. It's a victory for our team, and it's a very important verdict. It signals that, yes, we're not getting due process, as the Supreme Court stated in its verdict that was signed by the three justices of the Supreme Court that heard the case. So, in simple terms, the Supreme Court has told us that we have to go back to Banga, so that the original suit that we filed, our rights were violated, that the former administration of the president was engaged in the manipulation of the membership register and conducted an illegitimate elections. That case will have to be heard. Our colleagues who are on the other side, they have argued that they had a legitimate election and that they wanted to induct themselves office. But the Supreme Court is saying, no, you have to go back for this original case to be heard. If we are right, it means the entire thing that they did will be declared null and void. If they are right, it means that our case will be crushed out of the court and they can have their induction. But vastly, it's a long process because it took a year for us to reach this verdict by the Supreme Court on yesterday, Tuesday, the 19th of December. So if we go to Bong again, any side, that gets the victory, one side might come back to the Supreme Court. So the implication of the ruling is significant. And what the Supreme Court is saying now, that the stay order that the judge placed on the former administration of the PUL, headed by Charles Kofi, Daniel Yankona, Musa Kenny, and Akwe Besa, these guys can no longer perform any activity in the name of the PUL, including the so-called induction that they organized last year. That can never take place. So the implication is that the membership of the PUL we have to decide. We have not been democratically elected yet. No, we cannot take over the union, and they too, they cannot perform any role in the PUL on the basis of the verdict of the Supreme Court that reinforces and reaffirms the judges' stay order that they will have to stay clear of all activities of the PUL.
But Julius, if it comes down to a rerun of an election, how prepared is your team?
Well, the team is prepared at 100%. If that is the maximum score, because we've been ready. We said just do the right thing, ensure that the membership register is produced in line with Article 10, Section 7 of the Constitution, that calls for the disaggregation of the membership and that calls for people who are eligible to be registered validly. Before you become a full member of the PUL with the voting right, you must have practiced journalism for 5 years. Before you become a full member, you must have also gone to the university and get a university education, either in journalism, media, or communication. You earn a degree and you practice for 2 years. Or if you did, for instance, political science, accounting, public administration, you practice for 3 years with a degree. But the coffee administration, formerly of the PUL, the guys, they reduced the union to a mere organization. They go in different places. They bring people who are not eligible, give them voting right in the PUL. For instance, in 2019, the same thing happened, and they were taken to court. But because of this same let bag on, be bag on, let's reconcile. Other people withdrew their case, or they did not, and they'll make substantial legal follow-ups. But for 2022 and 2023, the membership of the PUL is overwhelmingly resolved that we will have to put an end to the issue of manipulation of irregularities in the membership registration for political ends. Because in 2019, according to the membership committee of 2022 of Fabien Kuya and Eddie Hammond, they noticed that the 2019 membership list have people on the list who were not journalists or who did not meet the eligibility criteria. So our case is a case of justice and accountability. So we are prepared. We are prepared at any time to go to elections, and with the support that we get, that we've got overwhelmingly, we can beat them very flat. No one is afraid of elections. It may interest you and the listeners to know that in 2010, I contested as an Assistant Secretary General of the PUL. I was in the United States on the sponsorship of the U.S. government, attending a fellowship, and I got elected overwhelmingly by the membership. So the membership is pushing for change. It's not about Julius Kanumba. It's about the institution that we call the PUL or the press union. All of us, we want a better press union of Liberia.
I just wanted to know your opinion on how this particular legal process and the rigmarole within the PUL has affected the institution to the extent that a serious election took place in the country, and we weren't active as a civil society organization, advocacy wise for members. How does that affect the institutions position in the country?
Well, the action by the guys who conducted the affairs of the press union, mismanaged the affairs of the press union, significantly made the union to lose its moral authority. The press union as an institution has lost its moral authority as a result of this tinted record of fraud in the PUL. And as a result of even conducting elections in the night, right? You can imagine the press union of Liberia, a very local institution.
Not just in the night, but also in the morning as 3 as 4.
Yes. That's midnight in the own interpretation, because you're having elections between 7:30 p.m. and 3:40 a.m. right, where people are sleeping. This is the press union of Liberia. So the guys, they significantly damage the reputation, the moral authority of the PUL, to the extent the PUL has become an unrecognizable institution. Roughly, in June of this year, the U.S. government, through the USAID, that's the United States Agency for International Development, along with Internews, that is implementing the USAID media activity in the country, they call us to a meeting. And everyone recognized that the president was in a very deep crisis. It was very disappointing. It was frustrating, and that we needed to move forward. They suggested a way forward: conduct new elections, credible voter rule. The other side, Daniel Yankuna, Akwe Besa, and their collaborators, they rejected it. The people call for interim leadership, they rejected it. So if it is not Daniel Yankuna or Akwe Besa to be the leader of the PUL, no one else can be. So that's how they damage the institution. So it was made clear in the meeting that the role of the president of Liberia is diminishing. And if we don't resolve the crisis, that was in June this year, if we don't resolve the crisis, the union will continue to diminish and fade away. And this is a situation, and this is what the guys wanted. They thought they could beat us at the level of this judiciary or the Supreme Court, but now that this verdict has come, and it's a significant blow on their side, we look forward to going to Bong and resolving the matter as soon as possible. But seriously, like you said, I mean, like you asked, the union reputation has been damaged. And to clean the blemish caused by the former coffee administration and their collaborators, we have to conduct the process all over again. And they are refusing.
Well, Mr. Kanumba, we'll have to hold you there, but I thank you so much for speaking with us.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Well, he's Julius Kanumba, one of the presidential candidates in the Press Union of Liberia elections, disputed election, of course. That was, I mean, according to him, it was not an election, but a sham one. But like I said, I have in studio the president of the Liberia Business Association, Mr. James Structor. He's been very patient with us. Mr. Structor, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm grateful.
It's been a while. We haven't heard about the association. What's happening?
All is well. Liba is going fine. We are changing some things around. You know, whenever it's a transition from one government to another, all institutions have to put their check and then put themselves in order.
Okay. So what has been the latest undertaking at Liba?
President, after election, once the electoral process is over, as a business people, we are grateful that we went through a smooth transition. And then today, what we are trying to do is to see how we put ourselves together and see how we move on with businesses.
Okay.
A Liba president, we are doing some cleaning up, trying to get a facelift for our office.
Okay.
This time we're doing symposium, how they call it there, how we try to change the dynamics of how Liba been before, trying to take Liba to another level. In doing that, we will be having some program coming on the 28th of December. In the symbolic format of what we want to do, planning the flag poles, indicating every county at the headquarters, and those 15 flag poles will be planted.
So is it a rebranding?
Yeah, we are trying to look at the structure differently now. You know, over the years, Liberians do not understand what their own institutions have been, what is important of what they have. We have been visiting other countries across the globe and seeing what they do in their country. What has been some of the disappointing issue was people in leadership that are supposed to work along with us to make sure we bring the found qualities to our country. They were not giving us the face to make sure these things happen. But looking at the government just being elected, the president-elect and the vice president with their messages, think Liberia, build Liberia, and love Liberia, we believe strongly these utterings are things that will make Liberia all getting on their feet to make things so happy. Because if you do not put your country first, who will put you first? Liberia should think about Liberians.
And you are talking about the significance of your position in the private sector. Just stress on that. What role do you play so significant that when harnessed, when leveraged, you can have a greater impact on the overall economy?
Let me just say something to you quickly for the listening audience. If you do not put Liberians first in their own country, who do you put first in their own country? This country belongs to Liberians. It's not foreigners' country. It's Liberians' country. And so, therefore, if Liberians are not given the fair share to change the dynamics of the economy, to make sure build our economy. Who will build the economy? Our laws are so funny that if you come here and invest, you can take a return back to your country where you're coming from. The only person that can sustain this country is the Liberian themselves. If they invest in their own country, their returns will stay right here, and they will grow the country. So what we need to be thinking about is how to build a Liberian. It's not only finances, but skill-wise. You need to build Liberian, creating jobs for those who have gone to school and learning their trade, open a corridor for them to have something to do. And so these are things that we are looking at. When you see companies in our midst today, foreign companies in our midst today that are making a headway in our economy, they bring their own people on board. And our people go to school, they learn, they can have those spaces to be able to work. How can you change it around when a man cannot sustain himself? How do we see that man growing? So these are things that we are looking at now from LIBA, not only setting to try about how because the law that brought LIBA to the table says, create indigenous Liberian businesses, indigenous and qualified Liberian businesses.
So what constitutes a business, for example?
A business
in your context as a LIBA.
When you talk about business, business is where you make a return, cash flow of business transaction. It's a transaction. It's a whole transactional issue. So business could be in so many forms. There are different categories you put business into, because once it's giving you a return, it's a business by itself. So I went to work today.
But you deal with bigger enterprises.
We deal with the medium, small and medium businesses. Okay, that's Liberian indigenous business. So you see, we got two different business sector, umbrella sector that is in this country. One is Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce deal directly with the government of Liberia on policy matter towards businesses.
Yeah, affecting you.
Yeah, so they are international because they got branches all over the world.
Yeah,
so they are international. Then LIBA is an indigenous private sector, controls the indigenous businesses. So you mean when you are Liberian who have had a business,
you play a more advocacy role
on the lower content.
Yes,
there where we are. So we deal with our citizen rate and making sure that they are empowered, making sure their businesses are going far, making sure the policies that government bring to the table is in our best interest for growth. And so when we are looking at Liberia, let me drag you a little bit back from JJ Roberts up to today. When the pioneer came in the country, you know that Liberians were doing a bottleneck business. He saw for Cube. You understand? There was no capital.
Yep.
So Liberians started to formulate, and the American Liberian came in the mix. So indigenous Liberians have been struggling over the years to see how to build that capacity. Despite there are some obstacles along the way. But if you want to turn this economy back to Liberia, it's just in the twinkle of your eyes you can do. People will always tell me Liberian can't pay debt. Liberian can't pay debt. Well, all these things are just scenario. In every country that I go to, countries or country, business people or business, like that. Banks cry for people paying. Even our country, the foreigners come and take loan from the bank. Some of them escape and go.
So what are the practical steps to ensuring a flourishing Liberian business community?
This is what we are doing. We are taking integrity issue to be a very key factor now into the business, introducing integrity to business people. We also want the government to start working integrity with the stakeholders in government to make sure transparency takes place into our engagement. So we are talking to government to see how we build the capacity of Liberian people, meaning train them to skill that they can be able to make a return into. Because go on the street today, you talk about Christmas, you will see everybody trying to do something to survive. It's survival of the fittest. It's not business they are doing. It's just from here to mouth. When I talk about business, that you have skill that can do a fundamental component of it, bring it to table what I know best to offer. But I want to sell chikisu. I don't know how the chikisu can be formulated. I want to sell clothes. I don't know how it can be formulated. I should have control mechanism on what I want to do.
Okay, so you're talking about rebranding the association and especially when you have a new government coming, because it seems as if your rebranding is coinciding with the coming of a new administration. So what are the issues your rebranding is considering?
When we keep the leadership, this is my last term in LIBA. I served the first 4 years in the past government, and then I will be re-elected for another 4 years. And I'm just ending the first year in my last 4 years.
Okay, so you have 3 more years in the new administration.
But what we saw in the first administration, the then government, we came to leadership with the idea. When the president we have made the statement that no Liberian will be a spectator in the economy. I'm a businessman, knowing me from where I came from to go in the private sector and running my companies in this country. But when you use a word that Liberians will not be spectator in their own economy, I decided to leave everything that I was doing with the level of education that I hold to come to Liba to see how we brand the whole system. And we did. We went to did a project. We went to Ghana. We paid our own money. Tell the Ghanaians how they came to be. How their Ghana left from the informal sector to the formal sector. We learned everything. We killed a presentation to the Commerce Ministry. How you can take 10 cents to $50,000, and government was in that mood to say, "Oh yeah, we will be able to support the issue." If we had done that, just within 3 years period, because that's how I did a calculation. In 3 years period, what government who accredited Liberian who are paid and be able to turn their life around today. Today, we had an economy in the hands of Liberia, if we are all saying this sincerely. But today, we have seen the next government that is coming. From that platform, they make us to understand, think Liberia, build Liberia, and love Liberia. And that platform, we take it too into another move to make it work.
So you are adjusting yourself now to the platform of the, of
to
the new
be
government.
able to meet the challenge that is about to come, the responsibility that is coming.
But I'm asking, what are specific areas that you are adjusting to? For example, we are adjusting to ensuring that our business people be committed to paying back the loans and all that. We are working to ensure that our business people, have the leverage, have authority in the economy, have authority to compete freely with the Lebanese.
Two things that we are doing right now. There are policies on our books. When you look at the business policies in our republic, they got importer, they got dealer, and they got distributor, and they got the retailer. Our law says Liberian fall in the retailer area. You can partake into shipment, importer, you can partake into distributor. But what is exclusively set aside is the retail sector for Liberian businesses, and which of course Liberians have not had the opportunity over the period of time to be able to take over that component, and that have fallen into the hands of Lebanese, Indians, bidding, importing, and having their stores all over the place and taking. What we want to engage the government with is to make sure franchise those businesses that belong to Liberian, the sector that belong to Liberian, to take over. So we are training Liberians into the area and creating the laws on our own books to make sure that policy govern these engagement. You have to look at where you took something for something, how do you pay back? We want to make sure that this principle, before you take from Peter, it's not gentleman agreement. Most of the things that are done that make the country to where it is today is a lot of gentleman agreement. We're not doing paperwork. So this time the policy will be working with the laws of the country to make sure it governs both for all and guide us into the process of engagement. So we are working with these laws. We are looking at our other compliance institutions to be set into our business sector that will show clear demarcation of transparency. So we are working on a lot of things.
But one mistake Liba now made, and I've heard that from other business people who also, complain that you as a leadership of Liba have not been able to make vibrant out of your branches in the counties, because one reason why people trust you to liaise with you and to increase your relevance into the governance of the country is to ensure that you're vibrant. You have your coordinators active, working with business people in Banga, for example, in Ganta, in Zreju.
Let me say,
or if you are dormant and you only active at the Pinsville headquarters, then you have a problem.
No, we are not even dormant in every county. Every county got coordinators. Liba got coordinator in the 15 countries.
But how effective are they?
They are effective. The reason why you cannot be effective, if you do not support what you are doing, you will not be effective. Let's say, for example, the radio station is running. If government is not supporting the radio station to run, it won't be able to run effectively the way you want it to be. If you say the government, Liberia, say they're going to support the Liberian businesses to be able to move forward, and they do not bring the support, you will not see them making the margin out of nothing to do something. But all of them, they are sitting pretty and working with a few that they can be able to work with to get things going. So our representations are all over in the country. Even the NGOs are come to work with us. When they come to us, when they want to work in the country, we liaise them with our members, that leadership that is there to be able to work with them to make sure they coordinate. What our problem is our government do not directly NGOs are come here and telling them that they have money to bring into the private sector to build a Liberian private sector. When you do not have the people who are the head of the private sector in your country working along with these people, how do you see sustainability on
So
the
you've been
investment?
an outsider?
Most of the issue we engage in, but it doesn't work easily.
So where exactly does a government work with you? In what areas?
The government,
how do you get involved?
the government do not have anything basically to do. What government have to do through the foreign ministry. When they
say only the foreign ministry or the Ministry of Commerce?
No, the engagement of the foreign partners do not come through for commerce ministry. It comes through the foreign ministry.
I know that.
So when you engage the foreign minister will be the one to tell you, okay, your platform or your portfolio that you are bringing to the country, what you have in there for Liberians. Oh, we got private sector engagement. We have the building the skills
in the private sector engagement. Okay, who is best suited to?
Then you tell them, say,
LIBA, right?
Go to LIBA. But if you do not relate them to LIBA will be scouting out there to see who got this to do. In that case, before you come to realize their investment or their work is going, and see most of the thing that is happening today, if we do not do a check balances of what we do in this country, Liberia will receive all the support from the world, but it will not be channeled to the rightful people to give a rightful result at the end of the day. We are concerned this time around in LIBA to make sure what you bring in this country, it should benefit our people for sustainability purpose, because most of the NGOs have come over years, they have invested, they say they have spent millions of dollars on Liberians, but we do not see the growth. And so that has been the question. Where the money you guys are bringing is going.
So if you had a chance to sit around the table with the president-elect, vice president-elect, what are the mistakes of the past and the...
Sorry that you did not listen to me the last time when I met the president-elect.
Okay, you've done that already?
Yeah, I sat with the president.
Okay, what
and when I just lay a few premise of what we anticipate to see it happening. But what I received was more than what I thought. So the president that is coming on the table know the subject matter. He already know the subject matter because he failed me. My bag was halfway empty, but from talking to him, my bag was filled with different ideas. So I know the person that is coming already. He's already schooled into what he's coming to do.
So you've started the engagement already?
We started already. And we are proud enough.
So what are the prospects? What are the prospects?
We see that there will be a change, a very great change into Liberian economy. Liberians taking over their own economy. Let me tell you something. He told me one thing. If Ghanaians can do it in their country, why Liberians can't do it? You understand? That message was clear to know that if
you get the impression as if everything will be rosy.
No, let me tell you something. I know the only way you succeed if you are focused. Only a focused person meet the success of the day. So if the man is telling you this is what I want to do, all you need to do is to work along with him to listen to what the platform are and to report. What Liberian weakness are. We don't respect each other, and we need to change that mentality. How small you are, while you are placed there, we support you. We can see the change and the growth. But if we do not support you and criticize you, we will not reach nowhere. At the end of the day, we'll still be standing on the sidewalks.
So what have you been doing to adjust yourself to the changes?
We have been working very greatly. I can tell you, LIBA is not a LIBA you saw yesterday. LIBA is a different LIBA. And with all
what has changed? What has changed?
There are a lot.
Practically, what has changed?
What we are doing right now, there are a lot of things. That's what I'm saying, because if I start to name what we are doing.
I mean, for example, okay, we've brought our coordinators in Monrovia. We are discussing, we are formulating the framework. Yeah.
I just told you what we're about to do. I said December 28th, that was my first message to do. We are inviting all our membership and our coordinators across the country to come to a one-day symposium. And that will be doing a symbolic introduction of the flag into our yard, and then discussing the issue of all the different sectors, all different representation that will be working with different institutions outside to see how Liberian can be really capacitated to be able to move this country. Now, Liberian want to take over the economy, and we have a school then to everything. We're going to create the intellectual component of training our people to skills. Different skills, different dimensions. Because let me tell you something. You want to do business, you want to sell DK, but you do not know how to formulate the idea to produce DK. You are not making DK business. You are just salesman. But if you can formulate, let's say a soap, you use this soap, Irish Cream soap come from America to buy here. You can produce soap here with all the different ferment to be able to make sure that you take a pathway. Once you train your people, you'll see so factory here. You'll see this factory here. You need to see foreigner to come there. So today, what we're doing, we're training people how to make soap. We're training people how to do catering. We're training people how to do other things. So to segment the business sector, not having everybody doing the same thing, to see how we grow in different sectors of our economy. Today, agriculture is moving. You cannot tell next year you will see a full kind of food are going to be able to do it. Agriculture Ministry will work with them closely. We attain agriculture from subsistence farming to mechanizing farming and commercializing farming. So things are moving. Libre is not sitting. Libre is moving in every sector of our economy to make sure
things are moving. The contribution towards the cleanup of the city, you made some contribution. Is it an evidence?
Yeah,
things are moving. What
are some of the issues is, you see, when you talk about environmental issue, environmental issue is a science, it's a different science at totality. This is what we say the new government bring people to positions, put the round pegs into the round holes, because Liberians are expecting too much at this point. Don't bring me or square pegs to a round hole. I'm going to take some time to learn before I can get the concept, before I can move. And the country is not waiting for people who want to learn on job right now. The country is waiting for people who knows the job already, who can move the issue to go to make a difference to see the growth of our country. So we are telling the government, come into leadership, put the round pegs into the round hole, because we are late. We are behind time. This is another country that is 170 some more years so, but every day we are formulating new things to be able to start, just beginning. Why people that started after us, they are very far away from us. So we need to catch up. So we are not sitting and just quietly sitting, because we are seeing the broad spectrum of what we want to discuss and what we want to see happening to our Liberian people.
So you made some contribution to the cleanup
process. We went to the cleanup campaign. We told them, the president, that is one of the pillar of his campaign. He is cleaning about sanitation. So therefore, when they launched the inaugural cleaning up, Libre as the institution, the able body for all businesses, we went there with our contribution. What we say, it was an initial contribution. We provided 1,000 brooms, 15 shovels, 10 wheelbarrows, 250 sacks of water. More still coming, because our people are bringing it. As they bring it, we'll deliver to the people that are out there to work. The next move we are about to make with the chair of our campaign is to see how we create one day, working day for our market sector, meaning the Gobacho, that will close the market down for one day and see how we move in to clean up the place. Every marketeer will clean around the area, and then we'll make government to bring us the trucks for us to see how we move the garbage and give a clean face of the market, and see how we start putting into place how people manage their waste. That waste will not be all over the place.
So you've gotten so much energized,
because when you are ready to work and somebody is there to touch you and say, yeah, let's make it happen, you are already moved. But if you want to work and I'm not giving you the support, and I'm not telling you, oh, this can achieve something, you're going to say that you don't know what you are doing.
Okay. If you just joined us, you're listening to the Bumper Show on ELBC Radio. My name is Varley Kamara. I'm here for Jala Greyfield, and I have in studio Mr. James Strutter. He's the president of the Liberia Business Association. You know, sometimes it's good to hear from these people on how they are positioning themselves moving forward. You know, just off the mic, you was telling me how prepared they are to work and ensure that the country, move forward. So we just want to know what they are doing. So you can try to place your calls to 080-514-096, 080-514-096. If you have some concern, especially the business people, call us on 080-514-096. Let's hear from this person. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pablo.
Good afternoon. Why?
Yeah. This is Thomas Ndima, and I call you from the GSRO.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, Mr. James Toto, thank you so much. You may know me, but I know you very well. When you were contesting, you went to the church in Zubatan where you have majority of the Kisi people. I actually know that Libre is changing. When I went there, I told you that your person have made liberty change. Actually, I went to your office. And I pray that the incoming president will actually retain you. Yeah, based on the idea and the knowledge that you have, that will retain you. But again, Mr. James, there were promises that you made during your campaign. Please work on them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello. Yeah, go ahead. What's the name?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead. I think we. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Go ahead. Let's hear you. Okay, we lost you. Hello.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm fine. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Francis Jusu. I'm calling you from Fuya District, Lofa County, to be precise, Pomuro.
Let's hear you.
First and foremost, I want to commend the studio guests for the now presentation in studio. And my question I have to do with, like you mentioned some skill and other things, what have you. But please, what is the mechanism they putting in place for, especially those young people that want to learn skill, especially when it comes to tailoring department, for the young people to be employing themselves, to at least sustain themselves. Why is it, plan the help to go?
Okay, thank you very much. Hello. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm like Najara. I'm calling from the highway.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Yes, let me say thank you to the president for the Latin Business Association. Thank you for your hard work. But I want you people to please focus on this Liberianization policy. You know, especially for us from the agro business and perspective, or from that forum we come from, we find it hard to sell our goods. For me, I'm doing sugar cane, right? I'm doing cane juice. But where do we sell the cane juice? You know that the cane juice that the state here is being put into the country. At least there are things that we're doing here. At least when they buy it from us, we'll be able to expand the farm. They will be able to produce what they want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in the agro business. I don't know how much to register it. I'm doing it in bulk. If you can just clarify some of the issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Lovely, how you doing?
I'm fine. What's the name?
I'm Steven Jones, Guru Westgate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Firstly, let me commend the president Isidro. But let me be real to him. I'm totally disappointed in two forms. A government that promised business people to, get their economy back, and you as a business president, been working with this government of almost 6 years now, you are now complaining one day that this government is not supporting you. Only to hear that you went to the president-elect and your bed is filled. What you never expected. That's disappointment. The second disappointment is that for you to stay on this platform, that your institution is vibrantly seen in the 15 counties, I'm disappointed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You will speak to that. This is why these kinds of discussions are necessary. So callers who can take a call and go back to the president. Hello. Go ahead. What's the name?
Yeah, good evening, Babli.
Yeah.
I'm Samuel Nima. We are calling from Bon County.
Go ahead.
You know, the issue of the Liberia Business Association, I've seen it from a political perspective. It have a political tone. Because they've been here all of the times. They've seen another government coming, they push the government they are not seeing. And they've been around, they took all over the city. And when you look at it, solid way, the origin of this solid way, it comes from the business sector. What have they been doing? Until today, as they say, they went clean market, the clearing market down. I'm very disappointed. That's a betrayal and bias to the whole summit. It's not fair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. President, I think you've listened to the callers. You know, people say, why you sounding political by saying, you met the president-elect, you feel and why you didn't speak out when you thought that you were being an outsider. What's been happening?
Varley, I want to say to the guy who called, like, he have to speak from what he feel, but maybe he had not been listening to radio when we have been talking about the growth of this country. We have not been a quiet people or quiet bulldog sitting not talking about things. The government that even tomorrow they will tell you that we have been very advocating. We have been talking. We have been on radio, on media, giving ideas and things to change in this country. We are not praising anybody for political change. We are saying that the logic that you bring to the table, we embrace the logic. The same way we embrace President, we are logic when he came to the platform. The Business Association is not a governmental institution. It's a private sector institution. The government may love to work with you. They may not love to work with you. And you cannot force it to say that government should work with you. If government decides to work with you, the government that will work with you is the government that loves its people, that want to grow their people. That's the only work with you to make sure that people grow. So if I tell you that I will do this, I do not do it, obviously you cannot say why the Business Association. We cannot go on the street to start parading all over the place that we want to strike, we want to do this. No, we are
so you don't front for support.
No, we ask for support. We go to you and tell you what we need, how we need to do, what we need to do.
But you don't grumble when you don't get it.
Two ways. You must say it what you want. I may do what you want, and I may not do what you want. You cannot fight it. That's it. You can fight it because you are private sector. Mm-hmm. When we ask government, we need to build incubator centers around the country.
But does the government subsidize?
No.
Okay.
We deal with our private sector, and government supposed to do that because the Constitution, the legislature that passed that made LIBA says LIBA will work for the Liberian government to create credible indigenous businesses. When you talk about creating a very credible, it means trained and get them to where they
provide the environment,
everything for them. So we went to the government to tell them that we need incubator centers for our people to be able to learn different skills, to be able to build the market, to see how we take over for the foreign people that are there. When government look at it, they do not answer it. What do? You're not going to be demonstrating before you get to know what it is. So government who is responsible that will come and say, I want to work with you, we will work with them. So LIBA cannot force anything. And two, the guy from Bombay who said he had not seen LIBA. We got a lady who is a businesswoman. But let me tell you something. Most of them do not even engage their private sector to know what a private is. And so most of them, they are like strangers within their own. This is what we told the government before. That look, foreign businesses are coming and fronting and taking the place of Liberian businesses. Because who register, the same Liberian may go in there and say, this business belongs to me. And the business is not his, it's a foreign business. But they use their position as a Liberian to go in front. So fronting became a crime during Malasadi time, but are not being really enforced. So these are things that we are looking at under for the Liberian people. So when you go to register your business, come to the LIBA and get your membership for us to know who you are. We are responsible. If you even have a short form with your government, we go in and talk to you and tell government, even if you brought your goods that you can get it cleared, we can still go to NRA or custom and tell them, look, we take an initiative, John Brown will be able to pay the money 2-3 days from now. And the leadership can take you and go to market. But they do not know. We continue to educate them on the media. We continue to educate them on what you should be doing. But these guys, sometimes they don't listen to the radio. They only hear the day they see, and that's the time they address it.
Okay, bro. So now taking off your private sector bias from this, if you were to ask, if you would ask, enlarging the private sector, or enlarging the private sector, or large private sector, small public sector, or small public sector and large private sector, which one will you choose?
The private sector should be enlarging because public sector should not be huge. Because public sector is paid for the private sector income. That is the taxes we pay.
But in Liberia, it's the reverse.
It's reversed because what? Government have not built the capacity that private sector grow bigger to absorb the citizen rate. So therefore, everybody seek for government position. But I can tell you, when you get a strong private sector, the engine of growth of a country economy is the private sector. So you need to build more. You need to train people to different skills. that they can be able to do stuff. A lot of things. The thing we order for China.
Because everybody cannot be a civil servant.
Take for example, you go to China, you want to buy a coat suit to bring it here to sell. When you got tailor here, you need to just bring the fabric, the machines that they can get trained to and start building from right here. But when the support is not there, the bank is not willing to give us.
So you only need a shipment of equipment.
Shipment of equipment, train people to
operate it.
That's all.
Okay.
And our people are waiting to learn. But the availability is what we're talking about.
Well, Prezo, thank you very much. He's the president of the Liberia Business Association. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much, Varley.